Okay, this is the second video segment for the knowledge series. In the first one, I created a part and it was a box with a hole, and I renamed the dimensions. Here, I'm going to do an assembly of two parts. So let me quickly make those parts. So insert new part in there, and this is going to be a box once again with a hole. So right click, properties, I'll call it box, and box, and let me make it. Double click on a convenient plane, let's say the vertical plane. I will sketch a rectangle. Here's a rectangle, and I'm going to make a circle inside of it. And on purpose right now, I'm not going to dimension it, okay? Yeah, on purpose I'm not going to dimension. Exit and pad it 1 inch. Okay, now we're going to insert a new part. Say no, and I'm going to call this thing the pin. Right click, properties. It's basically a cylinder, or I'll call it the pin. Pin and pin. And okay, and let's make it. On a convenient plane, on that vertical plane, I will sketch a circle, which is not going to be dimensioned, by the way. I will not dimension. You'll see why I don't want to dimension it right now. Exit, and then pad it, and this time I'm going to do it 2 inches. Okay, so we have two parts in that product. Now, if I click on f of x is our major knowledge toolbar icon. And if I click on product, you can see that actually, if you scroll down, it starts with the box, the first one, and then it's going to go to pin. Right there, you can see the pin starts. Okay, and by the way, the only things that appeared when I clicked on the product is the padded length and the padded length of the cylinder. Okay, now nothing else appears. Even if I click on the box, the only thing that appears is only the dimension that I put on the padded length. Okay, it's not the dimension. If I click on the pin, the only thing that appears is 2, which is the length of the padded pin. Now, so what I'm going to do is, because I want to control some other parameters, I'm going to double click on the box. Now I'm in the box, and I click on f of x. Okay, so everything that appears in the tree is now related to the box. Okay, so if I click on the box, you can see that these are all for the box. You can see that right there. It says box, box, box. All right, so we're in the box. So now I'm going to go to the sketch. All right, let's go to the sketch and dimension these things. So dimension this and that, and dimension the radius. Exit. Now when I click on the f of x, when I click on the box, the dimensions that I created will appear. You can see that the 1 is already there, but these are the ones that I dimensioned. Now let's do the same thing with the pin. So double click on the pin, go to the sketch, there's the sketch, and dimension the radius. Exit. If I click on f of x and I click on the pin, you not only get the padded length, but also the radius that I dimension. If I click on the box, the stuff for the box appears. If I click on the product, pretty much everything appears. Okay, so let's try it again. Let me go to the product first. I really should take that back. Click on f of x. Click on the click on the product. Everything appears. Now it's the time to rename these things. Remember, if you want to establish a relationship, if you want to say, for example, this radius is equal to that radius, you really don't have to create new names for these, but it just makes it easier. So if I click on that, this is the name for that particular dimension. And I'm going to change that to box, just to remind you that it's coming from the box, and I'm going to call it width. Apply. From now on, this dimension is going to be called box W. Okay? If I click on that, I'm going to rename this thing to be box H. Apply. If I select this radius, I'm going to call it box R radius. Apply. And the padded length, this is the padded length, first limit. I'm going to call it box L. Apply. Now let's do the one for the pin. So if I select this, I'm going to call it pin R. And if I select this padded length, I will call it pin L. Apply. Now, if I say rename dimensions, notice that all the renamed dimensions appear. For example, I can establish equations here. For example, I can say that the padded, the pin length, which is right now is 2, add a formula equal to this other guy, which is actually I didn't select the right one, which is your this was box length right there. You can see that. And okay, notice that this turned red, and if I say apply, they become the same size. So we have established an equation between the padded length of the box and padded length of the pin, and it says that padded length of the pin is always equal to padded length of the box. If you want, you can double click on this thing. You can make this thing 2 times that, for example, 2 times that, and then OK, and apply, and update. Now you can see it's double of that. All right. Now let's say that I want to say that the padded length of the, or no, the box, well, I'm sorry, not that one. What I meant is, wait a minute, what did I have here? Yeah, right. So you see, you can go and change the padded length of the box to 4. The other guy is going to be 8. There, you can see that, because you're saying that the length of the pin is equal to double of the box. So you can independently change the length of the box right here, and this is going to change too. For example, if I say the padded length of the box is 0.5, for the pin it's going to be 1. Apply, and there we are. You can see that. By the way, there's nothing that stops us from putting assembly constraints here. For example, you can say coincidence between length of this, I'm sorry, the axis of that and the axis of the hole. Apply, and coincidence between the back faces, back face of this and back face of that, which is already like that. Okay, now it's very easy. So if you go on f of x, where's the f of x? All right, here, and you click on the assembly and say rename parameters. Well, you can put other equation. For example, you can say that this length, which is the width, add a formula equal to that length. and OK. And they're always going to be the same length. OK. Or you can say, for example, the let's oh yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and find the here is the box box H. You can change that to 5 or 6. Apply and update. Notice that this is going to be the same length because there is an equation which says that guy equal to this guy. Here, try it again. F of x, there, this is 6, this is 6. If you want to change, for example, this guy you can change, this guy, but that guy you cannot change because there's an equation, okay? So for example, this I can say, I don't know, maybe 10, apply, update, and there we are. So whatever we did for parts also works for assemblies. It's just that you have to be careful when it comes